What is going on? Today we are going to talk about the different stages of building sales teams that are going to make you a ton of money. In fact, if you implement what I'm going to go through on today's video, your accountant is probably just going to themselves from all the extra zeros that are on your bank account. And that is exactly what happened with the offer owners that I have worked with, like Iman Gadzhi, William Brown, Ashton Hall, Brad Go, and a ton of other big names in the space. So strap in. Okay, so we're going to start at stage 0. Right now, stage 0 is anyone under 30K a month. Okay. Now, I wouldn't really work with an offer of this size at this stage now. But one of the first teams that I took over after working with Iman was a marketing agency that, funnily enough, was doing 32K a month. So basically exactly this threshold. And then I scaled them to about 125K a month in roughly 60 days. Okay. Now, how did I do that? My personal belief is to essentially build the sales team's tools and systems of a $1 million a month team before you're ever anywhere near that point. And the reason for that is maybe at this stage, hopefully, you've started to get proof of offer. But if you bring in a brand new salesperson who isn't going to be able to actually basically land into your probably chaos that you've created, because it's kind of just like an offer that you have built and only you really understand. And it's probably running on a bunch of choppy systems like GHL. Okay, so shoot me if you want, but I'm absolutely on the GHL hating bandwagon. I think that it is slow, clunky. It's a jack of all trades, master of none. So one of the first things that I do if I ever take over an offer that's running on GHL is I immediately gut that out and replace it, typically with close. So to kind of run through some of the stack that I'm immediately going to put into an offer, even ones that are doing 0K. So we start with close, and underneath close, we use their power dialer. Now, I've tested Alaware, Dialer.io, Kixi, the gel power dialer thing, I think it's called WAV. I've tested them all. Dialer.io is for sure the strongest one alongside the closed power dialer. For me personally, I've just found a lot of success having very good smart views and then having absolute ripping teams on the closed power dialer. And it's all integrated into the same place, super clean, super nice. The reporting is a little bit shit, so I tend to do my reporting outside of close. But other than that, it works wonders. Now, just to go rapid fire on some of the other things that I do, I typically use cal.com for the calendar. I will then use SendBlue so that we can actually use iMessages so we have higher conversion. There are numerous reasons for this. With SendBlue, I will then essentially do an iMessage video from the offer owner. Now, what I actually do, you want to prompt a response from them before you send them a video to ensure that the line stays healthy and it doesn't get spammed and stuff. I normally say, XYZ offer owner has made some private behind the scenes resources specifically for people who have booked in a call with us. Do you want me to shoot them over? Right? Something like that where it's very low friction because all they need to do is reply Y. So you literally put that at the end, reply Y if you want me to shoot that over, or just reply if you want me to shoot it over, right? So then it's very low friction, but then this is immediate little subconscious curiosity, like, well, what is this? I want to see it, right? And then again, this is an integrated video that they could just play there, ready to go, right? And it's typically, I would say, about 1 to 4 minutes maximum. And the beauty with that is that it's got an exceptionally high watch through rate because it just lands straight into your iMessage. And then the add-on that I do with this is I let them know in that video from the offer owner that the team is monitoring this. This is our business number, a company number, and the team is monitoring this 24/7. So if you do have any questions or any extra info that you want before the call, feel free to just message on here and one of my team members will get back to you personally. Again, concierge type of feeling to it, right? Something a little bit unique, and it gives a really good chance for setters to come into this account and basically have an additional lead source, right? I actually want to start going very tactical into every tiny little intricate detail of every software that I use. So that's probably going to be a video that we'll do further on. But if this is a brand that I've taken over that maybe has a strong email list, or they possibly have leads from some other offer that they were running before, and this is a new offer, whatever the case might be, then I'll use UniChat, which allows us to do WhatsApp blasts at mass scale. We can rip out 30K or even more messages all at once through WhatsApp, right? It literally ties directly to your Meta account manager. And as a result, you're good, you're golden. And obviously WhatsApp is being used more and more for business, but still typically to this day it is considered a bit more of kind of a friends and family platform, right? So it's like you use this, you get a message, you're curious what it is, what the fuck is this? Well, it's a video, okay? I remember this guy, like I think I signed up to his email list like 6 months ago. What is it? Boom, special fucking webinar that we're running. Join here, it's free. You're gonna learn X, Y, and Z. Oh fuck it, well why not, right? And you can just put a WhatsApp button like yes, I'm interested, or opt out if they don't want to be a part of it. So that's kind of like a foundational stack that I put in place there, because the key here is, and we'll go into some more kind of intricate parts around the hiring and how to structure that and how to bring on someone that's maybe more talented than where your offer is in terms of revenue right now. But if we're bringing them into a foundational system that is not dialed in whatsoever, you're kind of fucked right out of the gate. And really the key with this is it avoids any rebuild, right? Because the amount of offers I've taken over where they're doing 100K a month and then the systems are so clunky that we are losing a lot of money. There's a massive opportunity cost to it. So now there has to be this process of like gutting and rebuilding. And that transition phase is always just annoying. Build it from the ground up in the right way, and then you don't ever have to rebuild ever again. All right, so now that we are out of stage 0, we move into stage 1. So stage 1 is going to be your first kind of 2 hires, and then also what I call business owner purgatory, okay? So the range that this normally happens at is 30 to 100K. We'll say 100K a month. This can range all the way up to about, I see it like up to like 150K, but typical range is about 30 to 100K a month, okay? Now, at this stage, the founder is probably now starting to transition out of taking calls themselves, okay? Looking for talent. They want, the best of the best. I always get messages of that, like, I'm looking for a dog. I'm looking for someone that's going to scale this, but their offer's doing 70K a month. It's a hard thing to find. I'll teach you in this video how to actually be able to find someone that will go to war for you, bring a shit ton of money, and has a very high skill level already, okay? So one of the ways, and the main ways, that I really scaled the agency was through a large outbound sales team. Now, you kind of have 2 options to this, right? The way that I done it was I hired very young and hungry, right? People that wanted to essentially have proximity to me, which again can obviously be a benefit of, I guess, bringing me on as a manager, but also just the benefit of like having some degree of knowledge that people want to like be able to learn from, okay? The alternative is to obviously pay a base and then do incentivized performance, and we will break down that model in just a second. I'll break that down, especially on the closing side, how we can really bring on like the highest tier of talent in a very calibrated way that actually, as an offer owner, won't end up losing you money, will only allow you to gain money, even though you're going to pay them a higher percentage at times, okay? I'll explain that in a second. So what I would do right now, if you were hiring your first setter, right, I would bring them on base, and then I would do like a very low threshold, which is at the industry standard, which is typically like 5% per set that closes. And it would be a low threshold, right? It'd be like so achievable. It'd be like, hey, like this is literally, a couple of closes. Like, unless you just decide not to ever show up to the job, like you are obviously going to hit this. And then we start doing above industry standard, okay? And the way that I would roll this out is not as a permanent thing, right? So let's say we pay a set at 7%. That's like really high comparative to what is normal in the industry. But what we would do is we would do that as basically like a month kind of promotion, right? And the reason for that is if you give them something and then you fucking take it away, that team member's probably going to leave. Compared to, hey, so what I'm actually trialing for this month, kind of doing a bit of a promotion where I want to grow the company, and as a result, I want the people that I'm bringing on board to make a ton of money as well, right? Now, I want to see how this works and how much the performance increases from people, yada, 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 right? So here's the deal, right? So you kind of just prime them for this whole kind of like, if you're even slightly above average, you're then going to enter into this tier. What I typically would then do is just kind of show them like the differences of cost, right? You kind of say, hey, if you were earning 5%, if you collected 100K or set to close 100K and you're earning 5%, you make this much. If you're earning at 7%, you're going to make this much, right? So you kind of bring them on in that way. And the reason for all of this, I want to be clear here, is like, I'm not paying this for a setter when the offer's making 150K, 200K, 250 plus, all of these things. In fact, the higher the offer goes, the more you can start to get away with paying like a 3%, right? Like there is a lot of decent offers that pay 3%. Now, again, you're not going to attract the best talent. You kind of want it to be like 3% is like you're a massive underperformer, and you kind of enter into 5% if you're even average. But the stage you're at right now, you got to look at like, what are the things that I can put in place that are going to essentially essentially quantum leap me to that next stage of revenue, right? So especially if you're more on this side of the coin, right? If you're like 30K, 50K, 60K, that kind of thing, you got to look at like, how can I get someone that is actually going to dog it the fuck out for me, right? So the more that you can put in place to incentivize this individual and just run maths models, the better, right? Because maybe it is 5% that you pay them, but there's a ton of performance bonuses that you can pay, right? So it's like, you know, when you get 3 set to closes, I'm going to pay you this, right? And if you have like a show rate, right? So you can really start to get creative. It's like, if your show rate of your sets is over 70%, then I'm going to pay you a bonus on this as well. If any of your sets piff, then I'm going to pay you a piff bonus, right? All of these different things, okay? So this is definitely the case of what you would want to be doing, especially if you're a founder right now that's maybe 30K, 50K, that kind of thing. And you're taking all the calls because there's not enough calls to be able to bring on a closer. So you're like, okay, well, I need to increase volume. The best way to increase volume is to get a dog of a setter and make sure they're incentivized to get you a fucking ton of sets, right? Because then as soon as you're at about 4 calls a day consistently, time to bring on the closer, okay? And we're going to go really deep onto how to run closing commissions in a way that will allow your offer to exponentially grow, but simultaneously make you so much more fucking money as well, okay? But if you hit this stage, time to bring on a closer. And this is kind of where things can, and I've seen it so many times, get really dangerous, right? I see so many businesses get to this stage of revenue and they enter purgatory. Now, what is purgatory, right? Business owner purgatory. It is your schedule finally frees up a little bit, but your closer is not closing at the same level that you were, so the revenue naturally dips. And as a result of it dipping, you kind of shit yourself, right? Because there's less money coming into the bank account. You end up jumping back on calls, right? Or just micromanaging like crazy or getting pissed off. It's kind of like teaching your kids to ride a bike and then you just keep grabbing the seat. You're like constantly trying to like grab them. They're like trying to ride off and you're like, oh, no, you're going to fall, right? Like all of this shit, rather than just like let them fall a few fucking times. And eventually you're going to learn how to ride the bike, you know what I mean? And then what tends to happen is we kind of enter this thing where maybe we end up firing that person and we say like, hey, you know, yeah, I can't really find any good closers and that kind of stuff. It was really a lack of willingness to remove control. Now, here would be my things that I would look for and exactly what I've done with the marketing agency as well on how we can actually get good closers and scale it up, okay? Now, obviously, don't fucking hire from like Fiverr or some shit, but I hopefully don't have to say that, okay? Now, but in terms of what are the characteristics, what are the traits I'm looking for, prioritize industry knowledge, right? Because if you are running a marketing agency, I'm just going to keep using that example at this revenue amount because it's a bit more common, and you can find someone who at least understands like leads and funnels or ads in some way, right? They maybe have a corporate background, for example, right? Like you can kind of get creative, right, with some of these things. They might not be used to high ticket sales, but they're probably used to somewhat selling consultatively, right? Which is honestly massively useful. The way that you got to look at it is it's very easy to train sales, right? We're in the high ticket, you know, crazy space where everyone's looking at all these advanced fucking neuro-linguistic programming fucking tactics and stuff, but like the foundations are very, very simple, and honestly they're the most effective as well. Anyone can jump into Cole Gordon's, you know, course and learn a very strong foundational process to be able to sell. What you can't teach is years of potential industry knowledge, right? And every time I've hired around that, it's been a massive cheat code. So you actually, in an ideal world, want to find someone that maybe has some type of industry background and maybe just a little bit of sales understanding. But in terms of high ticket sales, they're not even that good. Or they just haven't been in it in an offer yet. That's absolutely fine. Now, if you find this type of person, especially if they come from corporate, they're probably a lot more used to safety, right? So again, maybe you pay them a little base, right? And then we're going to run through a really, really strong commission structure in a second here. And the only priority at this stage, or how can I take the industry knowledge they have and teach them my offer? What is unique about your offer, right? How can we build mass amounts of conviction into your business? And that would be the key. I would want to be showing, you know, client wins that you've been getting. I'd want to make sure that we've got like, you know, team trainings where we're actually running them through your mission and the values of the mission, right? And how you actually work in terms of like, you know, from like lead all the way through to like a client that you've had, you know, retained for, you know, a year. Like what have they gone through? What is the outcome? Like really get them so understanding on the thing, because if we've got industry knowledge combined with conviction, we're golden. We're good to go. Okay. And this will be what will allow you to scale past 100K. Now, again, what I done, was take this kind of model with the setting stuff, right? Like a lot of different performance bonuses and stuff, built a massive outbound team, had someone that was lead scraping. Okay, so we got like lead scraping, and then they were just violently dialing those leads. And all that I done was teach them how to enjoy rejection. It's like the easiest thing in the world, right? So like just teaching them how to rebuttal rejection. So what that looks like is if you ever get someone that tells you, because you've cold called them and they're some random business owner, they're like, hey, go fuck yourself. You would just say, hey, yeah, well, let me add that to my to-do list real quick. Do you want me to send you an email when I've gone and fucked myself? Right? And immediately you're unfazed by their kind of ego and how pissed off they are. They're probably going to laugh at that. And the moment that they laugh at that, you now have your in, which is like, hey, I made you laugh. The least you can do is hear me out for 15 seconds. Is that fair? Now you're good. Right? And that was what I done with the agency. It allowed us to mass outbound and actually pull people who are like completely cold, had no fucking awareness of us whatsoever, into, priming them up, send blue workflows, right? Videos. They start to get nurtured. We're sending voice messages from the closer before they ever jump on a call. All of a sudden, they actually have like a decent degree of trust. And we're a brand new company, not making that much money. With this fucking, it was just like through brute force that we got that. All right, so now we actually start to enter into what I would basically class as like my normal day-to-day now, because it's very rare that I'm taking over an offer that isn't at least doing 200K a month or so. But stage 2 is going to be essentially building your sales team, right? And then it's also going to be the retention of that team, okay? So if you're in the high ticket space, welcome to the fucking Wild West. Everyone wants to go to the better offer where the grass is greener, right? Like constantly. Welcome to high ticket sales, okay? Now, what I do on some offers, ideally I would do this on all fucking offers, but not all offer owners are open to this, right? So this is me telling you what will absolutely change the dynamic of your sales team. I actually got this from a mentor, Paul Daly, who was Iman's former CEO, and he shared this source with me, and I've implemented it onto a couple of teams and it crushes, okay? So what we actually want to do, let's say we now have a team of 4 sales reps, okay? We want the top, let's say 1 or 2 people to make like 15% comms, right? Because like the industry standard is like 10%. Honestly, there's some motherfuckers that are like, hey, like let me pay them 8%, and it's just that. Flat fee, 8%, no performance increases. Like you're never going to get like a top tier guy, okay? Now, 15% comms, maybe even a couple bonuses fucking on top of it as well. Like, let's say like a PIF bonus. PIF bonus is always good, right? Like, because you got to look at the risk of doing a payment plan when there's going to be drop off of it, right? Some people just don't follow through and pay the whole payment plan. It's a big loss, right? Comparative to a little $100 bonus that we give them every time they get a PIF, right? It's a no-brainer, okay? But let's say 2 guys, 15% commissions, okay? Right? And then maybe underneath that, we have the bottom performers, right? So like total bottom performers, they're earning, 8%, for example, or 7%, right? 7, 8%, something like that, right? So you've got these North Star guys earning fuck you money, and then you have these other people that are kind of earning under industry standard. And we wouldn't even really want to pour much time into these guys anyway. It's going to lose us a lot of money if we were paying these people 10%, right? As a big opportunity cost. People think that like closers is not an expensive role to hire wrong because like, well, I just pay them commission. It's like, no, like if they're closing at 15% and anyone else that's strong would have been closing at 30, 35%, that is so much fucking money down the drain. Right, so you have this tier. So let's say it's like 15%, 10%, 8%, and then like your flat rate is like 7%, for example. Right, let's say that you have a 400K a month business at this stage. Right, now you have sales rep A has done 180K of that. Right, and they're getting paid 15%. Right, that would be 27K in commissions for them. Right, so they're making 27K on a 400K a month offer. Pretty damn strong. Right, let's say the person at 8%, it closed, 125K. At 8%, they would be making 10K. Like, look at that insane difference, right? And then let's say like, rep fucking, loser here, doing 95K, 7%, right? They're making like 6.650 or something, right? Now, the reason that this works so well is we're constantly going to keep the dogs super happy. But it actually works really well for retention because these people, they can see the potential. They can see, and again, like I don't believe in slumps or ruts on my sales teams, but like it will happen if everyone's just kind of earning similar amounts. It's kind of like this is the standard of the team, right? And it's very hard to get someone that's going to break the 4-minute mile unless they are just like some Arnold Schwarzenegger kind of like, yo, fuck everyone, like I'm the competition, like I'm going to destroy them all, or, which is much easier, you put something in place that will force people to become that person. You know, like this person to this person is making like quadruple the earnings, right? But this person, not that we would maybe even want to keep them on, right? We would kind of see maybe they're early, maybe it's their first month or whatever. But this person here is going to stay on. They're not going to churn, even though they're only making 6K in commissions, okay? So hopefully that makes sense. If you can roll out your commission structure in this way, you're going to make so much more money. And funnily enough, if I think about it, this is really something that like Daniel Isles does in a way, right? Because if you think like he talks about like, yeah, my top closer made 100K in commissions, right? And it's true, but that person's probably a dog, probably got, you know, some type of performance bonuses that are happening or a higher calendar that they're tapping into or whatever, right? Different commission structures and things. So it's like, yes, it's true. There's also probably people on his offer as a closer that are making 5K a month. You know what I mean? So it's like, you're going to be able to attract such better talent because there is like historic data that some people have managed to make the 30K, 50K, 100K in commissions, but it was all done through a very structured, incentivized pay structure. So let's do one more mathematical breakdown on this. And I'm going to go to red for this, all right, to highlight this a bit more. You got fucking dog here and you got schmuck here, right? So schmuck here is earning 8%. Dog here is earning 15%. So 50 calls, right? Let's just say that they both have the same AOV, right? 10K, right? But the close rate of this guy, 30%. Close rate of this dude, 15%. Okay? Deals closed would then be 15 here. And the deals closed here would be, you know, 7.5, right? I can't make that accurate math. You round it up or down however you fucking choose, right? Now, revenue of this is 150K. And then the revenue of this guy is 75K. Right? Now, the commissions, like I already said, you know, over 22K, commissions to this guy, 6K or whatever, right? But what is net to us as a company is 127.5K, right? And what is net to as a company for us here is 69K. Okay? So you can see the huge difference in how much money these individuals have brought into the company. And the reality is we paid them 16K more in commissions, but they made us, you know, over 60K more. So after comms are paid, I've made 60K net more by having a dog who is pretty fucking happy, and he's going to continue to work for you, and he's going to continue to see how high is high and how much more can he push his commissions. And as a result, how much more can he scale your company. All right, so then we enter stage 3. And again, you can take all these stages with a pinch of salt, right? You can kind of, within reason, blend them a little or take them where it needs to be. So here I'm going to go through at a high level the event process that I do. Again, I'll probably go deeper on this on a separate video. But I often use this to completely bootstrap and launch an offer from 0 to 500K. And I'll give you an example of that. Now, real quick, if you are an offer owner and you want to see some true magic unfold and work with me to scale your sales team, feel free just to shoot me a message on Instagram, unless I get banned on Instagram again. But otherwise, for anyone else, if you just want to get steamrolled with value, I actually have a low-ticket coaching community, which acts as my hiring pool for sales reps, and there's a tier where I teach all of the sales management stuff as well. So you can check that in the description, unless you are a fucking loser. Now, let's get back to the video. So I'm going to give an example here. There was a trading offer that I took over, okay? Never really passed 100K. Maybe it had slightly, but like maybe the peak ever was 120K in a month, okay? Done a 5-day challenge funnel. And with that, we passed 700K in a week, right? So that is 700K from a single 5-day challenge where the cart was then open for 7 days, okay? So we basically took what was their monthly amount and turned that into a daily amount. So what does this look like? You got a 5-day or a 3-day challenge. Obviously, a lot of the intricacies of this I learned from the man himself, Iman, when I was running his sales team. And again, as a result of things scaling so fast, it allows you to attract far better talent, whilst again, just violently scaling your company. Now, there's a few different variations that you can run of this. They all kind of work, but I'll run you through a few of them. So one strong model is a free webinar, right? So we do a free Webby that then leads into, let's say, a $97 5-day challenge, right? That works very well if we are really trying to crack cold. Especially on trading offers. There's so many trading offers. It's a very saturated market. There's a lot of skepticism. There's also quite a lot of broke people, right? It's like the ICP is naturally people that have fucking blown all their savings and blown multiple trading accounts and shit. So with this, we're doing a free valuable webinar that sells them into a $97. So now they've committed, low amount, but they've still committed financially to us. And then we take them through this amazing 5-day challenge. If we're specifically focusing on cold, this works amazingly well. This works really, really well because we can take someone from totally cold all the way through to converting, right? Now, for clarity on this offer here, this was an 8K package, right? So it's not like a small little 3K package or anything like that. It was an 8K package. And that's why taking someone from cold direct to an 8K set like price point, at least in the trading industry, it can be pretty fucking rough, right? Whereas with this, it allows us to obviously get shit ton more volume. But again, even though they're cold, we have so much trust that we can really convert this at a very high rate. Or the alternative that you can do, and again, a lot of this stuff is like, you should test it for your offer. To be honest, I've ran a lot of events on a lot of different teams, and sometimes little bits and pieces and angles and just the entry point into the ecosystem work on one offer and then need to be slightly changed for another offer, right? So something else that you can do is a free 5-day challenge. There's obviously VIP ticket upsells that you can put them through where they get like Q&A sessions and more advanced kind of breakdowns and stuff. So you have like a post sign up VSL that primes them for a $97 ticket. That can work very, very well. And then we take them through a 5-day challenge, again, leading into the high ticket offer, right? And this is always through a sales call, right? As soon as you pass the 3K price point, do not try and do a 5-day challenge that is direct. It's just, you're just asking for trouble, right? If you want to do a 2997 product and you genuinely build a banger 5-day challenge, then you might be all good, right? But anything over 2997, you need a booked call with a sales rep, right? And then let's say it's a 3-day challenge, right? You have day 1, day 2, day 3, right? So day 1 is no pitch. And before this, the setters are aggressively contacting the non-attendees. So prior to the days, we're contacting everyone, maximizing show rate, etc., right? Making sure they got the link, making sure we give them a workbook, right, for them to go through on the webinar, right? Just create all of this like trust and conviction. But on day 1, any of the people that didn't attend, my setters are focusing on them, which feels backwards, right? Because they have the lowest intent. But what we want to do is get the recordings out to these people ASAP, right? Because the more people that we have that have watched day 1, the more people that are going to come into day 2, day 3, and actually basically have gone through this big trust building exercise. Day 2 is obviously where we then do a soft pitch, right? So then with this, the setters are hammering the attendees in this one, right? Because they've got the highest intent. And day 3 is normally like a repitch. And all throughout this period, you really want to arm the sales reps with curiosity levers and bonuses and things like that. Okay, so if we can essentially let them know that like, hey, because I'm part of the team, I actually have a few bonuses that I can help you out with, right? Do you want me to kind of walk you through them, right? If we can take that approach, right, and we essentially frame the setters as like this concierge type of angle, this is what works exceptionally well. Like this works really, really well. Now, again, there is so much that goes into this, right? Like in terms of the systems that we use, the emails that we use, right? The copy of it, the webinar slides that we have, right? Like how we structure the setters, right? How we build out the smart view. Like I can go on and on and on, right? So if that is a video that you would be interested in seeing, let me know down below. Put a message like, I don't know, eggplant emoji, you know, show me the 5-day challenge or something like that. And then I'll think about it. All right, so now we essentially enter stage 4, which is the 1 mil a month, right? Now, it's very rare that you can brute force this past 1 mil a month, right? Like you can, it really depends on the pull of the brand. It really depends so much on the offer. Like how much is this offer desirable, right? How much of a blue ocean is it, right? How strong is the offer owner in terms of presentation skills, in terms of the price point, like everything. There's a lot of intricacies in there. Are you maxing out like financing options, right? Like all of these things, of course, right? Do you have a dialed in fucking team? Are you firing the bottom performers constantly and rotating the like into better performers? All of that good stuff, right? But realistically, to make 1 mil a month and beyond, right, where we start entering into like the 3 mil a month territory and all that shit, there's a lot of things, right? You're gonna need multiple IG pages with a ton of clipping underneath. This is just from things that I've seen work really well, right? Bunch of clipping accounts. There's different ways that you can incentivize clippers. Again, I can get into that in a separate video. Multiple YouTube videos, ideally a weekly or bi-weekly webinar. And then what you can also do is have like maybe a pre-recorded evergreen webinar that's happening that funnels them into a 5-day challenge. So if you're able to run 2 3-day challenges monthly, so bi-weekly 3-day challenges that are live but the webinars that sell them into that is pre-recorded, you're in a fucking good place, because that's where you can double down on organic and cold, blend them together. You're going to really convert the cold people, even though they didn't know you whatsoever. And then the organic is obviously a tap that you always want to be, cracking into, so you can just have an actually very scalable offer. And then you really just enter into like typical marketing and sales best practices, right? So you obviously have the hammer them strategy, right, from Jeremy Haynes. You want to be double booking. You want amazing pre-call mechanisms. You obviously want like a setter manager that's kind of like creating setters that are going to go to war alongside the sales manager. You then want to do end of month re-offers via SMS, right? So for everyone that didn't join, we do them a custom re-offer specifically to help us hit our end of month goal of changing X number of lives, right? So it's like you win, we win type of stuff. You then want to really look into back-end LTV optimization. Because if you look at back-end LTV stuff, we're essentially, instead of finding pain, right? Because normally when you look at a front-end sales call, they're coming in with pain and we need to find it. On a back-end sales call, we essentially need to form it. That's done through future pacing all of the issues that they're now going to run into that they've solved initial piece of pain, right? Like stage one of the pain. It's like, hey, congratulations on doing this. These will be the next things that are going to come up in your journey. And we form the pain, right? So then we start to look at LTV and AOV. Now, I have a fucking dialed in process around upselling, around back-end upsells, around LTV, AOV optimization, all of these things, right? And I call this Operation Take All of Their Fucking Money. And I will do a full breakdown on this, right? Because this is so in depth. If we can massively increase AOV on the initial call, and then we can massively increase LTV in that client's journey, that's where we start to like massively break past the 1 mil a month and into the 3 mil a month and beyond territory, right? So that needs to be its own video. I think that will probably be one of the most valuable videos that I post on this channel. So fucking strap in for that. But for now, that gives us a very nice kind of tangible, multiple steps and high-level overview between each different stage. Hopefully you got some golden nuggets and juice from that. If you're an offer owner, that's my main focus, then feel free to reach out to me. And again, Transcend for me is my way of building a sales coaching community that is stupidly low ticket, gives you a ton of value, and then I can just pull talent from that community whenever I'm running events or need studs inside of my sales teams. So feel free to check that bad boy out. Other than that, I will catch you soon. Peace and love. Until the next one.